Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 49 of Quattroporte, the review series for Gran Turismo selection, a very strong selection, and also perhaps a surprisingly eclectic one, given that four-door cars of a performance nature you could very easily assume would be fairly much of a muchness, that many of them would be essentially the same. That actually couldn't be further from the case. They do all have in common that they are four-door vehicles, but beyond that, they're all pretty much totally different. Now, some are very similar, but the ones that are very similar tend to be ones from the same manufacturer. And there's really no better example of super saloons or sports saloons which are similar than those from Subaru and Mitsubishi. Because it goes without saying that of course they're going to be similar, they are different generations of the same essential concept. And in this particular pick we're featuring another Evo, of course, as you'll have seen from the title and the thumbnail, the Evo 8 in particular. Personally, I actually prefer the Evo 8 to the Evo 9. I'm not sure in comparison to the Evo 10, I do like the way that car's styled, but my personal favourite version of this particular Evo actually isn't featured on the game, and that's the FQ400, which is an insane performance car, as many Evo fans of course will already know. Now you can kind of build that car in the game, but the question is, even beyond that, what's the car really capable of? Well, there are different versions of this car. Like with most of the Evos, you have your lightweight RS models, your MR models, your standard GSRs, even automatic versions. Now the particular model that we're reviewing of the Evo 8 is just the bog standard GSR. Standard of course being a very relative term here. We're not reviewing the MR, we're not reviewing the RS. So take this as a general overview of the Evo 8. Those cars take it to an even more specialised level. So this particular car has, as you'd expect, a 2-litre turbo, it's a 4-door of course, and it's all-wheel drive. As far as power, it's very similar to most of the other Evos and also to its main rival, the Impreza. 578 horsepower, 473 foot-pounds of torque. The weight is good at 1155 kilos, not the lightest of Evos, but certainly not the heaviest either. And as far as horsepower per tonne, it rounds off very nicely to precisely 500 horsepower per tonne. As far as the PP, it's actually, again, nicely rounded off. 575 pp, fully tuned, means that this car naturally falls right into a category where, should you choose to use it, it can be useful for. Now, with the price of 33 grand, or just under, in the case of the GSR model, the value for money is potentially very good, as with most Japanese performance cars. And in the case of the Evo 8, although as an overall package it is of course, as I've mentioned before in the series, very similar to other Evos, exactly as you'd expect it to be, this car does have slightly different handling to some of the others, at least in my opinion. And I would say that this is perhaps a better handling car than the Evo 9. Now it's not a premium model, which is a shame, but overall, despite being a non-premium compared to the Evo 9's premium status, as I said, I believe this car actually has superior handling. It may not necessarily be quite as detailed as the Evo 9, being a premium, because premiums don't just look better, they do often feel better as well. And I would say that the Evo 9 feels better. It feels like it has more substance to it. It feels a little bit sharper. The Evo 8, though, has smoother, more controlled, slightly more forgiving handling, I would say, than the Evo 9. And at the same time, it doesn't get too soft, which you could say about the Evo 10. That's kind of a little bit too composed. It's lost a little bit of that rabid nature. The Evo 8 treads the line very well, I think, between the really hardcore old-school Evos, including my favourite one, the Evo 5, and also pushing it more towards a modern age with the Evo 9 and the Evo 10. It's a happy middle ground between the two, I think. And although it's not a premium, it's still a great looking car, and it's a car which you see some people use, but most people tend to go for models like the premium Evo 6 and obviously the Evo 10 because they tend to stand out. This car, though, in all of its forms, is a very dependable model. We also, of course, have the rally car version, which is technically not a real car, the Super Evolution rally car, but that's also an excellent vehicle, which, of course, we have reviewed before in the Dirt Masters series. Now, overall, as far as straight-line performance, this is a notable model, because the top speed as far as Evos go is very good. This is one of the quicker Evos. Now, it's not 10, 20, 30 miles per hour quicker, it's only a couple of miles per hour stronger than most of the others at around 230, 235 miles per hour, but that's still useful to know. The acceleration is, of course, strong off the line as well as mid-range, not so much top end, but that goes for any Evo. And the handling, as I already mentioned, I personally feel is more forgiving, and I would say a better all-round feel, an all-round package as far as handling, control and drivability goes. I would say this is superior to possibly all of the other more modern Evos, say everything from the Evo 7 onward. Overall, it's a car which certainly deserves to be used, and at 33 grand, it's not exactly a huge amount of money to pay out. And if you are looking for a strong Evo, and perhaps don't know which one or which ones in particular to go for, I wouldn't necessarily say get this one instead of any of the others, but I would definitely give it some strong consideration, because it has its unique advantages, despite the fact that it comes from a long line of cars which are very similar, and the differences and advantages that it does have are good enough to set it apart. And when you come from so many iterations of an iconic car, being able to set a car apart really says a lot about what that car is capable of, and I believe that is the case with this model. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.